Peace be unto the nation of Israel, whom are the modern day so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled Israelites being the Israelite foreigners, scattered across the four corners of the earth, including within America, Babylon the Great, the main place for our captivity. And we are the Most High, Yahweh's chosen people of the nation of Israel. So without further ado, as always, in the Lashon Kodash as in the Holy Tongue, being the Paleo Hebrew as in the ancient Hebrew, and we give all praises, glory, and honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Kodash, which is all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, whom is our strength and our Redeemer, and our light and our salvation. In the same tongue, I'm going to utter Mashana, Kabuarim, Lahasequanium, Shal, God of Rabakah, many double honors to the apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, and Shalom on his salutations to Bayash Shadawadah, the 144,000 elected governing body of the House of David, along with the rest of the one-third elect men, women, and children of Israel. It's a fellow servant, Malak Rayab, back at it again with another video through the spirit of prophecy, being a testimony of the Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Yahushai, who the masters of the world ignorantly refer to as Jesus Christ. And it's a video of a report of Trump in the works of signing an executive order making English the official language of the U.S., all right, which is Babylon the Great, all right, prophesied in scripture. So I'm just going to go ahead and, briefly, emphasize the correspondence of the severity of him signing executive order making English the official language of the U.S. and how that corresponds with the concept of English movements being a modern day form of lynching, of lynchings, okay, which was a common tactic used against the so-called Latinos as early as the late 19th century, okay, where you so-called Hispanics / Latinos, all right, were lynched by these by Esau's lynch mobs, for speaking loud Spanish and acting quote unquote uppity. All right, so just another just another example of nothing being new under the sun, as it says in Ecclesiastes 1:9, and as well as the old ancient hatred of Esau Edom, being directed towards the tribes, all right, including you so-called Hispanics or Latinos / Latinos, all right, of the northern tribes, okay, because this is for the part of your nigga wake up call on behalf of your of the common oppressor, the same oppressor, the so-called Negroes that the southern kingdom of Israel shares, okay, and this is why this devil is coming down with great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time, hence why, the gloves are coming off, all right, the horns are coming out, proverbially speaking, whereas this devil, Esau Edom, sub-like white man, whom is the devil the Bible speaks of, is further showing these so-called Latinos, okay, that he despises you as well. He despises you as he despises the so-called Negro. As it says in Jeremiah 15:33, Judah and Israel were to be oppressed together. That is, the southern kingdom being the so-called Negroes, and the northern kingdom being the modern-day indigenous, being simultaneously oppressed by the common oppressor, which is a self-proclaimed white man. All right, that's why it's not a coincidence that he signed another recent decree of removing the deportation protection of over 521,000 Haitians of the tribe of Levi of the Southern Kingdom. So it says President DJT to sign executive order making English the official language of the U.S. Says President DJT is prepared to sign an executive order designating English as the official language of the U.S. for the first time in the nation's history, a White House official said Friday. All right. It says, DJT's action will rescind a mandate from former President Bill Clinton in 2000 that required federal agencies and recipients of federal funding to provide language assistance to non-English speakers, according to the White House. So it says, this move comes as Trump has moved aggressively in the first 5 weeks of his second term to crack down on immigration, which over the past half century has brought people from around the world who speak hundreds of languages. So under the guise of, the political guise of, the immigration policies, he's further justifying oppression and inflicting the northern tribes, okay, that are crossing the border, seeking asylum, okay, further seeking a better life, okay, through the so-called, better opportunity, all right, through the perceived land of the free and home of the brave, when it's really, the land of the free and the home of the slaves, okay, case in point, man. So, and Jake, a lot of our people, are having to find out the hard way. All right. So speaking of immigration, we're going to play this quick video. Okay.
With that shit.
The
U.S. has become a dumping ground for everybody else's problems. Thank you. It's true. And these are the best and the finest. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting. And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense. They're sending us not the right people. It's coming from more than Mexico. It's coming from all over South and Latin America, and it's coming probably from the Middle East. But we don't know, because we have protection and we have no competence. We don't know what's happening. And it's got to stop. And it's got to stop fast.
So he made this speech about a year before he actually was named the 45th president of the United Snakes of America, Babylon the Great, back in 2015, about a decade ago now. Okay, an actual decade ago. Then about a year after he made that speech, he became, he was announced the 45th president and officially inaugurated as the 45th president in 2017. Okay, but right after he made that statement about how Mexico supposedly, was supposedly sending rapists, he tried to clean it up by suggesting that, well, it's not just Mexico. It's not just Mexico. It's everywhere. But see, he put his foot in his mouth when he made that broad generalization that people that would come across the border specifically from Mexico were rapists. Okay, and which was in fact a broad generalization, because he didn't differentiate or distinguish what manners of people from Mexico that he deemed to be rapists. Because the only so-called justifiable evidence that he presented was supposed word of mouth confirmation from whom he referred to as border guards, which really is referring to the Customs or Border Patrol agents. Okay, well, there's no merit behind that. Okay, because that was a very irresponsible and broad generalization to insinuate that the majority of people coming from Mexico are rapists. And on top of that, to further add on to the folly and the libelous claim of the people from Mexico predominantly being rapists, is that he claimed that Mexico was sending them, when a lot of those people in Mexico and those other impoverished areas in Mexico and Central and South America come over here, they set foot over here by way of their own merit, okay, to look to escape their own impoverished situation, after inquiring on, what legal matters they need to, to be enlightened on, so they can embark accordingly, within their path to America, Babylon the Great, seeking a better life. All right. By getting educated with, the legal standpoint on what they need to do through Esau's asylum laws and whatnot, For those who were looking to come over here legally, that is. All right. But yet you have somebody, you have clowns that are pro DJT supporters and just pro patriotic gullible idiots that make these claims that he would just talk, that he was supposedly talking about the MS-13. So why did he mention that? Why didn't he differentiate what manner of individuals were coming from Mexico that were the rapists? Because there are individuals that stem from those areas or come from those areas that indulge in such offenses. But just to make a broad generalization that the majority of the people that are supposedly being sent from Mexico are the bad people or the bad hombres, as he said, at one time, around that time that he made this statement on, in his video, once again, is a very broad generalization. Okay. Where for the fact that he never differentiated what manner of people from Mexico are deemed the rapists and the criminals and so forth. Okay. So having all this been said, this was his broad generalization to further demonize the tribes, all right, specifically so-called Latinos, man. Okay. But yet you have Latinos for Trump. You even have niggas for Trump. Okay. And see, so somebody said, wasn't he talking about MS-13, the gang? He also proceeds to say that there were good people as well. All right. And I really like what this woman said here, Charlotte Edwards, who responded by saying, I keep hearing this, but it doesn't make any sense. If he was talking about MS-13, why would he say, and some I assume are good people? Because that was his way of cleaning up that foolishness that he has said. Okay. So then she said, if he was talking about MS-13, why would he say, and some I assume are good people? He assumes some of the gang members are good people. You see? So she was thinking, she was being logical, analyzing the folly of what he has said about how, he had generalized that the majority of people coming from Mexico are rapists. Then he said, oh, it is good. He tried to clean it up by saying, oh, it is good people. But yet still never, cleared the air, further elaborated on who he deemed the portion of people coming from Mexico to be deemed rapists and criminals. You see that? So what Esau does, he hides behind his politics, okay, to further demonize the people that he's been targeting since he set foot over here, man. The same people that he persecuted during the Spanish Inquisition is the same people he's persecuting now, man. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the first precept in Isaiah 10 from the top, and it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. All right, because he just recently, it was just recently reported that he is in the works of prescribing the signing of this executive order to make English the official language of the U.S., hiding behind politics. All right, it's a further justifiable reason to justify his, the enactment of his persecution towards, our people. So this is Isaiah 10:1 from the top. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. All right, so these are more decrees and policies. Okay. He has further justified the systematic persecution and affliction, towards one specific demographic of people, which being the so-called Negroes and indigenous people. Okay, the needy. Okay, being set aside from judgment, as in righteous judgment. Okay, within that straight and narrow path of righteousness to the Lord, Yahweh Shemeshai, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whomso happens to be the God of the afflicted, as it says in Judith 9:11. So this is Esau's way of psychologically breaking our people down, or spiritually and mentally, by removing our hope from anything good, anything righteous. Okay. All right. Through the covering, the true covering, which is through the Holy Spirit of this gospel. Okay. The word of life of the Lord, Yahweh by Shemir Shai. Okay. And rather to seek covering under a modern day Egypt and a modern day Pharaoh of this modern day Egyptian empire. And that's the subsequent white man, Esau Edom. Okay. The current and modern day Pharaoh of the modern day Egyptian empire, which is America, Babylon the Great. For Egypt means house of bondage. And that's why they promote this bondage of old Egyptian symbolism on the back of the dollar bill, for example, because they know who they are and they know who we are. So in this spiritual warfare, their goal is to psychologically destroy as many Israelites as possible. However, it's not possible to deceive the very elect. You see, this is what Esau is going to be forever reminded of, man, as he continues to persecute us. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this article and continue to read here. It says, between 350 and 430 languages are estimated to be spoken in the U.S., with English overwhelmingly the most common. It says the White House said the goal of the order is national unity, arguing English as a national language fosters national cohesion, helps newcomers engage in communities and traditions, and enriches our shared culture. You see that? Saw about his shared culture. Okay. Of that satanic NWO agenda of the one world government, one world currency. All right. And one world religion, which is Satan. Okay. That's why they're looking to outlaw the scriptures. Okay. That's why and looking to normalize satanic worship. Okay. Such as in the schools, after school Satan programs, promoting the alphabet mafia agenda through the Transformers and whatnot, being sent to these schools, okay, in the midst of the undeveloped minds of these children, and reading their sodomite propaganda to these children, okay. A case in point for further example. And this is Esau, and these are further examples of Esau looking to, indoctrinate, the world, and specifically the Israelites, okay, to further, seek refuge under him and his satanic covering under this modern day Egyptian empire, man. As it speaks about in Isaiah the 30th and the 31st chapters. Okay. So it says, the order encourages new Americans to adopt a national language that opens doors to greater opportunities, the White House said. 32 states have already designated English as their official language by legislative statute or constitutional amendments. Okay. So the Wall Street Journal first reported Trump's upcoming order says that he long decided the multitude of language spoken in the U.S. while discussing migrants who unlawfully enter the country. So now I'm about to just go ahead and, further touch on the correspondence of his English only executive order and his correspondence with the concept of English only movements, being considered as modern day lynchings. OK, so it says here, this is on Kalamu.com under the section of the unknown history of Latino lynchings. It says the following is a summary analysis of Harvard Civil Rights Civil Liberties Law Review article, Law of the Noose, the history of Latino lynching by Richard Delgado. All right, here's a summary, a synopsis of the information. As it says, Delgado attempts to shed light on a largely unknown history of Latinos, particularly Mexican Americans in the Southwest U.S. All right, speaking of that, that's why down here in the Southwest, specifically in El Paso, Texas, there was a infamous sign, okay, that was composed back in 1929 that said no Negroes, no Mexicans, no dogs. And I actually did a lesson with the very title a few years ago. OK, preface off of an article entitled No Negroes, no Mexicans, no dogs. So if you if you so-called Mexican of the so-called indigenous tribes, mainly the so-called Latino or Spanish speaking tribes, think you that believe that you're so much better than the so-called Negro tribes, why is it that the common oppressor Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, okay, the devil the Bible speaks of, composed a sign that said that simultaneously read, "No Negroes, no Mexicans, no dogs." You see that? Because that was Esau Edom's way of further professing his ill will and contempt lowly perception of the very people on that sign. Hence why I said no Negroes, no Mexicans, no dogs. You see that? So like Elder Paul Escobar often says, man, in order to understand the mystery, as in the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, you have to understand the history, man. Okay, by way of secular history to be exact. Okay, that's how these prophecies for to come to life, by way of secular history being married or filtered through biblical prophecy. Okay, but see, a lot of you so-called Mexicans, specifically focusing on y'all from the tribe of Issachar, being that that's who I'm predominantly, around down here in El Paso. All right. Don't even know your damn history, man. You don't know. Case in point, you don't know your secular history about the people that conquered your ancestors, your forefathers. All right, on behalf of the conquistadors and the Spaniards, and that's why you speak Spanish today, man, because you were conquered by Spanish-speaking so-called white men. Okay, but yet around the early 20th century, they came up with the phrase "no speaker de inglés." Okay, and that was a way to mock you so-called Mexicans for speaking Spanish. Okay, further mocking your Spanish pronunciation of speak, as it was heard as spick. And that's where you get the word spick from. Case in point. That's where that's what they intended that derogatory term to mean, or to insinuate as a mocking way of, mocking your attempt to speak Spanish or speak English. But ironically, they enforce English on you, man. But yet you envy your oppression. Okay, just because a lot of you so-called Latinos are lighter complected, you believe you're closer to so-called home, if you will, predicated off of the ideology of so-called white supremacy. Okay, but yet you got Trump further persecuting your kin crossing the border, man. Mainly of the Spanish-speaking tribes in the Northern Kingdom, seeking a better life. A lot of them sincerely coming over here. They're not coming over here to commit crime and all these libelous threats, or rather accusations that DJT was accusing you tribes for, specifically you so-called Latinos. Okay. So anyway, I digress back to this information. All right. It says, this is a summary of this information. All right. By Richard Delgado. Says Delgado attempts to shed light on a largely unknown history of Latinos, particularly Mexican Americans in the Southwest U.S., who were lynched between the years of 1846 and 1925. This is roughly the same time that many blacks were lynched in the U.S. as well. All right. And for the lines of Jeremiah 15:33, how Judah and Israel were to be pressed together. So it says, while many know of the ominous and horrific fate that blacks and African Americans saw in the U.S., few know of the lynchings that Latinos were met with. Delgado challenges scholars and institutions by trying to unveil the truth on a shameful past, while exploring the history of these, and here's the point, of these lynchings, and explaining that English only movements are a present day form of lynchings. I read that again. While exploring the history of these lynchings and explaining that English only movements are a present day form of lynchings. Okay. So this article was posted, published 11 years ago, 2014. And they were speaking about English only movements being present day forms of lynching. So what more so now, 11 years later in 2025, when you have the commander in chief of America, Babylon the Great, in the works of signing an executive order, okay, to further advocate another English only movement. Okay, hence a modern day, another modern day form of lynching, man. Okay, now let's get the word lynching. Okay, to further add on to the perspective, okay, of what's being spoken about. This is lynching, or the lynch says, is of a verb, says to eliminate someone, especially by hanging. And here's a point: for an alleged offense with or without a legal trial. Okay, I mean, what, without any legality involved, Esau could justify himself in his heart by lynching Jake, because they had the power and authority to do that under so-called white supremacy and so-called white privilege. Okay, further confirming that this beast system, America, Babylon the Great, was always orchestrated to be rigged for the Edomites, man. See, so you Jakes go out there and march and beg and loot and protest all you want. Okay, beg by begging validation of your oppressor, man. Okay, to appease your wicked, insignificant and irrelevant aspirations, to be perceived as equal in his eyes, man. He will never see you as equal. Okay, because that would defeat the purpose of him ruling over you and taxing you and oppressing you through his policies and indoctrinating your children. Okay, with his so-called his pro so-called white supremacist curriculum in these school institutions, man. Okay, which ain't nothing but relearning camps, if you will, indoctrination camps. Okay. So this further, so the definition of lynching, further confirms that these English only movements, okay, are modern day forms of lynchings. Okay, including this executive order to further advocate the concept of an English only movement. Okay, specifically in a manner of, making English the language of the land. Okay, further adding on to the bonds of the northern tribes crossing the border and the tribes in general that speak different languages. See, this is a further part of Esau's indoctrination under his culture, as Trump brought out. You see? Okay, as it says here, lynching. To eliminate someone, especially by hanging for an alleged offense with or without a legal trial. See? So this further confirms that Esau is persecuting our people without a cause, because this is a unnecessary executive order to sign into effect. Because it shouldn't matter what language somebody's speaking, as long as they're paying you devils your taxes, man. Your modern day Roman tributaries. But you want it all, man. You want to be reverenced. You want to be worshipped. Okay, by psychologically conditioning the minds of the captives of Jerusalem. Okay, the modern day so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indians of the tribes of Israel, to seek full refuge under your false covering through your wine of fornication. Okay, through your democracy, your politics, your indoctrination of your pro-Edomite curriculum. Okay, that you teach in your schools, that you teach our people in these so-called schools. All right, and so forth. So we're gonna a quick precept on that. In Psalm 35 and 19, and it reads, "Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me." Read that again. "Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause." So this executive order, okay, in the works of being signed, to make English the official language of the U.S. is another subliminal way, okay, for Esau to hate this targeted demographic of people affected by these policies and the moral decrees without a cause. Because they don't have a case in point. This devil doesn't have a cause to make English the law of the language of the land, when a lot of the tribes that are crossing the border speaking Spanish and Portuguese and so forth are sincerely coming over here just to escape poverty and seek that American dream. And a good number of them are doing it illegally, but they still get persecuted by the hypocrisy of you devil's asylum laws. You see? So the spirit of the oppressor, of the rulers of the darkness of this world, okay, the throne of iniquity, is being further exposed as you Edomites, you self-proclaimed Caucasians, or you self-proclaimed white people. Okay, his bloodline derives back to Esau, Edom. So this is back in Psalm 35 and 19. It says, "Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land." You see, that's what you're doing with your English only movements, which are modern day lynchings, man. This is said here once again of the definition, okay, of a mob, as in a lynch mob, to eliminate someone, especially by hanging for an alleged offense with or without a legal trial. Now, in the case of these lynch mobs doing these things, these very acts of lynching our people for speaking loud Spanish, was a further exhibition of hating someone without a cause. Just because somebody speaks a language you don't deserve doesn't justify you to put them to death. This is how petty, narcissistic, and demonic this devil is. Okay, so to further go into this history, read this again. It says, Delgado challenges scholars and institutions by trying to unveil the truth on this shameful past, while exploring the history of these lynchings and explaining that English-only movements are a present-day form of lynchings. Although research on Latino lynchings is relatively new, circa from 2006 to 2009, said lynchings have a deep-rooted history. Such acts can be described as mob violence, where persons are eliminated, hanged for an alleged offense, usually without a trial, like Emmett Till, for example. Okay, and George Stinney. It says, through reviewing of anthropological research, storytelling, and other internal and external interactions, there is believed to have been roughly 600 lynchings of Mexicans and Mexican Americans, beginning with the aftermath of the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, okay, which is a treaty that Esau justified dividing the lands that belong to the so-called indigenous of the Northern Kingdom, okay, you know, such as the lands of Arizona, Mexico, Texas, Nevada, Colorado, okay, you know, and so forth, okay, if including one or more states, okay, if not just the states that I mentioned, those states that I mentioned are part of the territory. It's like the territory that was once all a part of Mexico, that Esau stole, that he through division, okay, essentially, annexing these lands, okay, into U.S. territory. So shortly after this Guadalupe Hidalgo treaty was signed is when a lot of, so-called Mexicans started getting lynched. It's going to further go into why. All right, so it says this 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was a document essentially that essentially ended the Mexican-American War, where Mexico surrendered half of its land to the U.S., which is explained. It says this grim fate of blacks and Mexicans in the U.S. was intertwined. All right. Once again, it lines up with Jeremiah 15:33. All right. How Judah and Israel, he refused to let Judah and Israel go. So it says both groups were lynched by Anglos, Edomites. OK, and that's, in that Anglo terms, of that term Anglo-Saxon, which means angelic sons of Isaac, which they are not. Okay, there's because they're sons of Esau, Edom. So it says both groups were lynched by Anglos for reasons such as acting uppity. Okay. Taking jobs away from Anglos, Edomites, making advances towards Anglo women, cheating at cards, practicing witchcraft, and refusing to leave land that whites coveted. That's how the Trail of Tears was signed. Okay. So, so it says Mexicans were lynched for acting too Mexican, for example. And here's the point. If Mexicans were speaking Spanish too loudly, okay? If Mexicans were speaking Spanish too loudly or showcasing aspects of their culture too defiantly, they were lynched. Mexican women may have also been lynched if they resisted the sexual advances of Edomite men. You see that? Says many of these lynchings occurred with active participation of law enforcement, of course, because you had KKK members that were integrated within the law enforcement, within the court systems. Firefighters, attorneys. All right, in Esau's court system and so forth. Okay, so it says many of these lynchings occurred with active participation of law enforcement. In fact, the article reiterates that the Texas Rangers had a special animus towards persons of Mexican descent, considering that Mexicans had little to no political power or social standing in a new nation. They had no recourse from such corrupt organizations. Popular opinion was to eradicate the Southwest of Mexicans, man. And see, this further goes into the concept of English-only movements that are present-day form of lynchings. And DJT's executive order in the works to be signed of making English the official language of the U.S. is of no exception of an English movement, an English-only movement that is another modern-day form of lynchings. Okay. A person which is symbolic of persecution and actually represents persecution. Okay. So, let me see here. All right. So Trump said, we have languages coming into our country. We don't have one instructor in our entire nation that can speak that language, he said last year. These are languages. It's the craziest thing. They have languages that nobody in this country has ever heard of. It's a very horrible thing. See? So if you speak Spanish, in the case you so-called Mexicans, and other northern tribes that speak Spanish, okay, according to what he just said, all right, it's a horrible thing. It said after DJT's inauguration in January, the White House quickly removed a Spanish version of the White House website and a Spanish X account at La Casa Blanca. See, so this is back in Psalm 35 and 19. It says, let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. And our people are quiet in the land. Because it doesn't take much to please Jake. Okay, just give him a job. Give Jake a job. All right. The means to cook for themselves and, turn up and have a good time and so forth. That's all Jake needs, man. Okay. As our forefather Jacob was described, he was a plain man, whereas Esau, Edom, known as a cunning hunter. That's why these devils like hunting for game, hunting for people. You see? Because this is his MO, but yet the part of his MO, all right, mainly includes, persecuting the tribes without a cause. which is actually wickedness. All right, as it says here in Proverbs 3:30, says, strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm. And see, so when this devil made this generalization that Mexico is supposedly sending the worst of their people, is a very, once again, it's a very disingenuous and deceitful generalization to insinuate that the majority of people coming from Mexico are rapists and criminals. Okay, then you got some reprobates try to justify what he said by saying, "Oh, well, he was talking about MS-13." Well, he never made that. He never made that distinction. He never differentiated what manners of people, for so-called Mexicans that he was really referring to, because he did that. That was his way of subliminally categorizing us to fit those stereotypes. Case in point. Now, once again, certain offenses have happened of our people crossing the border, like that Venezuelan bug out, that Shedemite woman, Laken Riley. Okay, are further examples of occurrences of such accusations they bring upon us that actually happens. Okay, but to generalize it as if it just so happens to happen all the time is very deceitful, man. And that's a typical tactic from this devil Esau Edom. Okay, to accuse us unjustifiably without a cause, which is wicked. Further confirming that the laws of the land, okay, are upheld above the laws, statutes, commandments of the Lord Yahweh by Shem Shai. Because this devil is persecuting us unjustifiably or without a cause. Okay, we're going to grab this quick precept in Hosea 8:1. All right, bring this out. Hosea chapter 8 and verse 1. And it reads, set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of the Lord, Yahweh by Shem Shai, because they have transgressed my covenant and trespassed against my law. Okay, so who is this eagle that transgressed the people of the covenant? All right, the Israelites being tied, being the people of the covenant to the Lord. All right, the only nation that the Heavenly Father Yahweh preordained to be holy. Okay. So who's this eagle that was prophesied to persecute them? Let's go ahead and get Deuteronomy 28 and 48. And it reads, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh by Shem Shai shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And the yoke of iron was those metal or iron gauntlets that we had to wear across our necks. So when our people try to escape, from chattel slavery, from Esau's slave plantations, oftentimes they would get caught because they would try to hop fences and whatnot. And the purpose of that yoke of iron being placed around our necks was further fulfilled. Okay, by entrapping us when we try to flee by hopping the fences and so forth. You see. So this is a point of verse 49 here. It says, the Lord Yahweh by Shem Shai shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So that's that eagle that persecuted the tribes, as said in Hosea 8 and 1. Okay? Because the eagle represents the violence of the fowls of the air. Okay? Symbolic of the vileness and profanity of Esau Edom. Okay? Profanity in terms of his perverseness, him being outside of the temple. Okay? Drinking iniquity like water, as in making iniquity, compound sin, his standard of living. Okay? And that's why this is a strong enchantment that the rest of the world collectively, and mainly nationally in America, Babylon the Great, are have been indoctrinated by way of. Scripture says, as the master is, so is his servant. That's why a lot of people have adopted the characteristics, or in this case, the traits and tendencies of Esau Edom. Being greedy, covetous, lascivious, boasters, okay, and so forth. So this is, so it said, Deuteronomy 28:49, the Lord Yahweh by Shemeshai shall bring a nation against thee from far from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. We don't understand this devil's bashing language, that English shit that I'm speaking right now, because we got indoctrinated by them and conquered, as it's prophesied to happen. So when he came over here during the Spanish Inquisition, he was speaking English. We know what the hell he was saying, because we were speaking broken dialects of Hebrew, like so-called Mexicans of the tribe of Issachar were speaking Nahuatl, okay, which is broken Hebrew. You had the natives of the tribe of Gad speaking Algonquin and other broken dialects of Hebrew. That's why when Christopher Columbus came over here, he came over here with a Hebrew interpreter by the name of Luis de Torres. Okay? Because these devils know who we are, because they refer to the prophecies as Columbus, including Columbus. Okay? So having always been said, they came over here speaking language we didn't understand, and then forced it on us, man. Okay, they literally forced it on us. Okay, so does this not look familiar? Okay, it's history repeating itself, man. These devils enforcing their madness, their wine upon us. So this is back in Deuteronomy 28:50, says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. Okay, including the example of the largest shooting in U.S. history, where Esau Edom lured the so-called native children of the tribe of Gad out of hiding during the first Battle of Wounded Knee in the late 19th century. And when the Gadite children came out of hiding, this devil Esau Edom slaughtered them all, man. Children. And this is part of the largest shooting in U.S. history. You see that? So through the secular history that we filtered the biblical prophecy, we're able to further identify who the lost 12 tribes of Israel are that fulfills these curses, whom is no other demographic of people but the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indians. So this is Deuteronomy 28:51. It says, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. Okay, so he would compromise our living situation by attacking us economically, like he did against the tribe of Gad, so-called natives, by slaughtering the buffalo. Killing off their food supply and their clothing or raiment supply, because the natives, the tribe of Gad, would not only hunt the buffalo for food but also for clothing. So by this devil Esau Edom during the Spanish Inquisition, eliminating the buffalo, good number of the buffalo, it was a further war tactic, man, that they exacted towards the men, women, and the children, because Esau didn't give a damn if infants were being persecuted to death. Okay, that is the infants of the nation of Israel. Okay, so this executive order that this devil is talking about signing is just another omen of what he's further what he's getting ready to bring. Okay, and that is complete dominion and the persecution, and oppression over our people, by forcing his agenda on our people. Okay, it's Hosea 13:16. It says, Samaria shall become desolate. And Samaria is the capital of Ephraim. All right, a reference to the northern kingdom. Okay, modern day indigenous. It says, Samaria shall become desolate, for she hath rebelled against her power. They shall fall by the sword. Their infants shall be dashed in pieces, and their women with child shall be ripped up. All right, exactly what the eagle did when he came against the people of Samaria, aka the northern kingdom of Israel. Okay, taking a pregnant woman while they were pregnant, hanging them upside down, and cutting their fetus out of their pregnant bellies, man. Then he was sick, the canine dogs and whatnot, on those very women and upon our people as a whole. And he would get off on those sadistic, demented, egregious practices against us, man. Okay. And he's continuing to have his way with us, man. Now he is including in a political way. You see? So this is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. And it reads, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand, into a time and times and a dividing of time." So this devil spoke great words against the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, including professing himself to be a JEW, further implying that his nation is the chosen, which is not biblical. Okay, could have said the real Israelites in Revelation 2 and 9. I read around there says that Revelation 2:9 speaks about how the true Israelites would be impoverished. The devil's not impoverished, man, especially Amalekites. Okay, over there in the Holy Land. Okay, humping the damn west or Wailing Wall, which with the condoms on your head. Okay, all right, having your annual annual sodomite parade down there in so-called Pink City in Tel Aviv. All right, you have your own independent police force called the Shamrin. So how are you impoverished? How are you downtrodden? How are you vulnerable? How are you in a contrite spirit right now? You're not, because the earth was given to the hands of the wicked, man. And that's you Edomites. So chiefly you Amalekites of the nation of Edom. So you're not being worn out, okay, by the affliction of your enemies. Because you're sitting comfortably right now. Okay. Whereas it was prophesied that the saints would be worn out. Okay. So this is, once again, this is a further part of Esau, Edom's way of psychologically destroying our people. Okay. In other words, to break the will of our people. So they will feel compelled to seek refuge under this devil. Okay. And less obligated. All right. Or shall I say, or feel to feel obligated to bow down before this devil. So I'm going to grab, because what's the further part of the ways in which these devils look to wear out the saints, man? All right, psychologically destroying us through oppression, affliction, through their moral decrees and policies. And thus looking to further remove our heritage from us, man. Okay. So this is First Maccabees. Salakia, First Maccabees, chapter 1. Salakia, First Maccabees, chapter 1, and we start at verse 41. It says, "Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people." See that? So was that not the same talking points of what was mentioned here? It said the White House said the goal of the order is national unity, arguing English as a national language, fosters national cohesion. Okay, helps newcomers engage in the communities and traditions, and enriches over shared culture. All right, which is that the old pagan Greco-Roman way, the way of death, the way of full subjection under the devil. Okay, so First Maccabees 1 and 42 says, says, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed him to idols and profaned the Sabbath. Okay. So that's a part of them looking to try to remove us from our ancient heritage, man. So this is verse. Yeah, that's pretty much that on that point. So I'm going to get Lamentations in a blue letter. Lamentations chapter 1 and verse 17 in the NIV. And it says, Zion stretches out her hands, but there is no one to comfort her. The Lord Yahweh by Shemashai has decreed for Jacob that his neighbors become his foes. Jerusalem has become an unclean thing among them because of our transgressions against the Lord. You know, we started living like brute beasts, as it mentioned in 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter. Okay. You know, being downtrodden from the righteous position of the royal priesthood to degenerates, to degenerate plants. As it speaks about in Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. So this is Lamentations 1. Let me see. Lamentations 1 and 21 in the NLT. And it's like it in the NIV. Okay, and it reads, people have heard my groaning, but there is no one to comfort me. All my enemies have heard of my distress. They rejoice at what you have done. May you bring the day you have announced, so they may become like me. So they can experience what it's like to be, precede a byword in a proverb, a gazing stock, a laughing stock. Okay. And that's going to happen as the curses are transitioning over to devils. Pursuant to Deuteronomy 30 and 7. So this is Lamentations in 1 and 22. It says, let all their wickedness come before thee, and do unto them as thou hast done unto me, for all my transgressions, for my sighs are many, and my heart is faint. See? So it said, let all their wickedness come before thee, and do unto them as thou hast done unto me, for all my transgressions, for my sighs are many, and my heart is faint. You know, like it says in the book of Jeremiah 49 and 7, I believe it is. Around there where it says, let me see. How you devils have to drink that cup, man. You have to drink the cup of indignation that we had to drink. So this is Deuteronomy 30. As you get in the blue letter, Deuteronomy 30 and 7 says, and the Lord Yahweh by Shemashah thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. You see, so it was a perfect example of that. I was going to get this last video. You know, the Elder Apostle Kabar had uploaded. When I saw that dose was $67. And it's a self-proclaimed white man.
People in slavery. That's one of the main reasons why they're going to be punished.
Well, it appears to be a self-proclaimed white man.
Because of what they did to the Israelites. Okay? So it says the
that was crying about, being in a vulnerable position regarding his livelihood. Okay? And whether this guy's a Jake or not is not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on the fact that, as the Elder Apostle Kabar pointed out, as he said here, he has the complexion for protection, but with no direction. Because once again, as I alluded to not too long ago, there's a such thing as so-called white privilege. Now, through the Spirit, you devils are no longer, and collectively able to benefit off that so-called white privilege, because now you're becoming that gazing stock, that laughing stock. Why? Because your strength is hunger bitten. There's no longer your insatiable appetite for global dominion and power is coming to a halt by way of your rulership being afraid to cast it down, by way of you being afraid to cast it down. You're being exposed to be the damn devil, man. We're going to play about a minute or two of this.
other men that
Jump back. Let me see.
At his doorstep. But yet what you're about to hear is he's doing nothing but complaining. So this is another sign that Esau and his society is done. It's finished. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Welcome back, tribe. I have an episode here from a pretty small channel as well. Kirky Talks. He's 45, broke and tired. Let's talk about it. Someone recommended this one when I said on the last video, send me all the small channels of guys talking about their issues and, you know, you get some insights and relate to some stuff. Get into it. Keep sending them. Guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Kirky, and as you may know, this is a brand new channel. I've never had a YouTube channel before. And this has been about 2 years in the making. I've been procrastinating. Well, let's face it, I've been fearful, and that's why I've done it. Not done it up until now. 2 years I've been wanting to do a channel, and I'm not 100% sure what this channel's going to be about. There'll be some videos where I'll probably vent like I am now, and there'll be other... Then he got 186,000 views in 7 days. Just be real, boys. Told you, hit the record button, send them into my email. Videos where I'll put my perspective on things. Yes, sir. And just share stuff about my life, and hopefully build a community. Actually, a lovely day for a change. Last few days have been... This is so needed. Men, not just venting, but building communities for other men that either feel lost or don't know what direction to go in, or men that have some experience and they can share it. This is the way we regain communities back for men. The way we can mentor men again. Because we've lost all our male spaces in the gynocentric society we're in right now. A lot of guys are going in blind, not knowing what it means to be a man, what masculinity is about, what brotherhood is about. This exactly solves all these problems when they took everything away. So
What this guy don't realize is that we're at the end of Esau's society, Esau's kingdom. Okay, the guy that was talking, the guy with the shades on. And he really thinks, like the scripture says, Psalms 49:11, the inward thought is that the houses shall continue forever. He really thinks that this Edomite society is going to continue forever. And the truth is that it's coming to an end. All right, and this is one of the signs, the fact that this guy who looks like this, all right, the guy with the hat on who looks like that is complaining about life. Man, he should be, especially when you look like that, you look like the so-called white man. He should be living it up, man. What's it say in Lamentations, the 4th chapter?
Yeah, I'll leave it off on that. You can watch the rest of the Apostles' video. That's the point, like he said. You know, if you look like that, man, I mean, you... you know what I'm saying? You should be definitely taking advantage. You'd be definitely taking advantage of that so-called white privilege. Okay? But a lot of these people, these people, mainly these Edomites, are no longer able to benefit off of that so-called white privilege. Why? Because this is another sign that they're losing their power. So, because everyone's going to be persecuted for not taking that chip, that mark of the beast in Revelation, the 13th chapter. Whether small or great, whether man or woman, and so forth. Whether rich or poor, free or bond. You know, Esau's going to make that mandatory. So this devil can pass this English-only executive order all he wants, but it's only to uphold the wicked aspirations of the Edomites, Salakia, for a short season, until you be destroyed, until you lose your empire. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon 3:10. It says, "But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Lord, Yahweh by Shem Shai." And they're forsaking the righteous, right? Especially those that were quiet, have been quiet in the land, okay, including this modern day land, the land of our captivity. Okay, it's the very land that they're quiet in at this point, because as I spoke about in Psalm and read about in Psalm 35:21. Okay, that these devils continue to persecute us without a cause, and see how Shai, our Redeemer, descends back into this realm with angels to destroy you devils, man. So in this lesson off on that note, pray was further edifying his order to elect. Give all praise, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh by Shem Shai, by Shem Kakadash, Abba, soon and very soon. Shalom to elect, and on to the next one.